Hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week, and we're happy to welcome you to a new edition of our show titled Speak of Africa. Before we begin the show of today, we want to thank all our subscribers. Without you, we'll not really have a great show. We also want to thank our viewers. If you are viewing this show and you've not subscribed, please, now it's time for you to subscribe, because you don't want to miss a whole lot of stuff that we're coming up with. In fact, we're working on the live show, and at the same time, we're also thanking those who have been supporting our businesses. When we started this show, the purpose was not to promote our businesses. Our purpose was to let people know that we're business people, and we wanted to also encourage them to become business people. Because we can cry about what is happening to us as Africans. If we're not business people, we're not really going to be able to develop Africa. In the beginning, we have to develop ourselves. Then later on, we can use our resources and skills to develop the motherland, which is why we are beginning to focus a lot on the acquisition of skills on this show. One of the ways you acquire skills, in fact, I have a book which I wrote titled The Miracle Millionaire. Since I wrote this book, I was disappointed. I did not really create a new edition. I did not make any revisions, because a lot of people who were buying the book were people from other communities, like white folks were the one buying the book. I did not write this book for them. I wrote this book because I wanted Africans to benefit from the knowledge that most of the white people have, which they use to get ahead financially. Okay? So now I've noticed that since we've been promoting the book on this show, we've been talking about it, more and more Africans are picking up copies of this book from Amazon.com. So each time they buy it, I get the notice, and I see that more and more Africans are buying the book. That's a very positive sign. Some of you buy the book and you call me and you share the content. Some of the areas that you don't really understand, you ask me questions and I explain it. So this is not a ghost-written book. I wrote this book myself. Everything, all the 12 chapters, everything. I wrote it myself. So nobody wrote a book for me. So I know everything that is in the book. So when you call me, I will explain any areas that you're having difficulties with. Now that more and more people of my own community are buying the book, then in the future, we may want to revise the book and bring in new changes. We're also very, very happy with some of the people who started listening to us. In the past shows, we've been talking about the need, the urgency for our people to get into healthcare businesses. Some of you have started doing that, and we're really encouraged. And we're telling you, in the next few weeks, we're going to be helping more people. Some of the people that we're helping want to start schools, okay, private career schools, where you can learn how to become a pharmacy technician, a certified nursing assistant. You can pass your NCLEX exam for nursing. If you're a foreign graduate, say in pharmacy or in medicine, you can learn how to get into the American system and become a professional. You can become a medical doctor, or you become a pharmacist in the United States. So we have all these resources. Some of the people that we're helping now really want to create schools, and that's something positive. We love practical education, because the only way Africa can get to where it needs to be is functional education. Colonial education is not going to help us. So the kind of education that we're emphasizing is functional education. Education that serves a specific function. Education that focuses on the needs of the marketplace. Education that gives you skills that you can work and make big money in the marketplace. That's the kind of education we need. Colonial education is just theory. It doesn't really serve any interest other than to keep you in check as a plantation slave for the white man. So we want to change all of that. So all of you who are really interested in changing lives, we're telling you, call us, watch this show, then call us. We're going to help you with some of the new things that we're going to come up with. Without further ado, the topic of today, we want to take you inside the colonial system. We want to show you how colonialism works, how neo-colonialism works, and we're also going to show you how some of these people enslave Africans, and we're going to focus more on the use of money. And by that, we're going to take you to the CFA franc. CFA franc, most of you know that a lot of the former French colonies are using the CFA franc as a currency. By contrast, Nigeria is using the naira. Nigeria was not a French colony, but as we're going to show you on this show today, sometimes people tend to associate Nigeria with the French CFA zone, because it looks like the leader of Nigeria is taking Nigeria very, very close into the French slavery system. So this is not really good news. For today, we have a book which we're going to recommend. First, you may want to know about our book, The Miraculous Millionaire. You can find my book on Amazon.com. If you don't find it, just type my name, Prince Ojong, on Amazon.com. You'll see the book, and you can pick up a copy and read it. Read a few chapters. If there's something you don't understand, call me, I will answer it. But the book that we really want to draw a lot of attention for today is a book written by Fanny Peugeot and Ndongo Sama Sila. Fanny Peugeot is a very good French journalist and writer on politics in Africa. A few years ago, I had read a book she wrote on Cameroun, the Poor Bia's Cameroun. It was a very good book. It took you back to Cameroun during the colonial days to the present, Bia period. I really love the book. She did very, very good research and reporting, so I really love it. Today, the book I want to introduce by Fanny Peugeot and Ndongo Samba Sila is titled Africa's Last Colonial Currency, the CFA franc. This is a good book. I read the book a few weeks ago, and I want to introduce it to you so that you can also read it. This book will really show you that the whole process of decolonization in Africa remains unfinished. Why? Because after the Second World War, say 1945, France was really weakened, okay? As a power, a world power, France was really weakened. In order to participate in the Bretton Woods system organized by the United States, France had to bring African countries that just became independent to tag along to make itself look powerful. So they needed to maintain that French empire. So they brought Africans. So instead of giving genuine independence to Africans, African countries only received flag independence from France. So which means they were independent only in name. In order for them to obtain their independence from France, France ensured that these African countries sign cooperative agreements. France will protect you as a leader militarily, so long as you sign this pact, this colonial pact, that you're going to tie your country to the French economy. So in other words, France would protect you militarily, but you have to surrender your sovereignty. You have to surrender your military power to France. Your whole economy, before you can sell something to any other country, France has the right to say no. Even when the French wanted to get into the EU, like in 1999, what happened? They decided to devalue the CFA. As much as the French would tell you, oh, we're paternalistic, we created the CFA, Colonie Française d'Afrique. We created a currency to help African countries. That's not really true. They created a currency to help France, not to help Africa. They may tell you, oh, the French franc makes it possible to maintain financial stability in the African zone. But is that true? No, that's not really true. Because even the EU, the European Union, conducted a study, and they realized that the CFA franc was benefiting France, not the African countries. So this is really clear, which is why even today, there's a lot of rebellion. People are rebelling against the hegemony of France in Africa. They want it to end, okay? So, but today, we want to take you inside the CEMAC, which is the financial union of the countries of Central Africa. You have 14 countries, 12 were former French colonies who are using this franc. You have the Central African zone and the West African zone. But we want to focus on the CEMAC, which deals with the Central African zone. And of course, Cameroon is one of the main countries in that zone. But you ask yourself, how are African countries in this region benefiting from this arrangement with France? To tell you the truth, they are not benefiting. It is a relic of the colonial past. The colonial master benefits, the African countries don't benefit. So we're going to take you now from one country to another. Today in Cameroon, you can see there's a whole lot going on. What are we going to talk about? We're going to show you the way, because of the influence of France, there is war going on in La République du Cameroun. There's a video we're going to share with you just to introduce the show of today. You have a lady called Madeline Gumba. This lady is crying. Why is this war taking place in this part of the world, Cameroon? It's because the French are giving weapons to the rogue regime of Paul Biya to wage this war against the people of Ambazonia. A lot of people are dying every day. You will not really believe it. So many people are dying every day. Then you have a whole lot of political prisoners. If you look at Kondengi, a lot of Anglophones are in that prison in Yaoundé. Why are they there? They are political prisoners because they spoke against the war. So France uses Paul Biya as a dog, attack dog, to kill them. So you can even see a lot of them, even in SCD, which is a secret gendarmerie prison. A lot of Anglophones are in that prison. You ask yourself, what are they doing there? They are in underground bunkers, in a dungeon. They are tortured every day. What are they doing there? It's because Paul Biya wants to please his French masters. When you look at the whole picture, that whole region, the CEMAC, is a zone for France's leadership, for France's hegemony. All those guys who call themselves leaders, France calls them governors. Vous êtes le gouverneur, vous n'êtes pas le président. You are governors of France. You are not presidents of Africa. That's the message Sarkozy tells them. That's the message Emmanuel Macron tells these African leaders. You are not presidents. You are French governors. So you have to do the dictates of France. So when you even look at the CEMAC, you may say it provides stability. What kind of stability is it providing? It is a French plantation. So it controls everything for the benefit of France. You may even think as a region, a group that seeks regional integration is going to be looking at the interests of the countries that make up this group. No. Much of the trade that takes place in this zone is between France and the country. It's not intra-African trade. When you study the area and you read this book by Fanny Peugeot, you're going to see that intra-African trade is very little. Much of the trade is between France and the African country. Okay? The various African countries are not really doing a lot of trade among themselves. Rather, the goods that leave France travel to this region. And who makes the money? France makes the money. So when you even look at one of the videos, we have a lady called Madeline Gumba. Okay? She's really lamenting. She's lamenting the death of even their own people in Yaoundé. They are dying because of this war. And she's telling people that to wake up and try to protest so that this war can come to an end. We're going to give you a minute to watch the video of Madeline Gumba. You may not speak French, but just take a few minutes to just listen to her wailing, okay?
Bonjour, mes frères et sœurs camerounaises. Moi, c'est Madeline Gumba. Je parle aujourd'hui à visage découvert et j'assume mes propos. Comme dans mon pays, le Cameroun, on n'a plus le droit de s'exprimer. Si tu t'exprimes, tu es opposant, tu es terroriste. J'assume. Si m'exprimer aujourd'hui ferait de moi une opposante, une terroriste, j'assume aujourd'hui être opposant, j'assume aujourd'hui être terroriste. Mon message aujourd'hui, je m'adresse uniquement au président de la République du Cameroun.
Thanks for watching the video on Madeline Gumba. This is really sad. if more women can just be like Madeline Gumba, very courageous, then we think this war in Ambazonia would definitely come to an end. Now we want to go straight to Ambazonia, which is the prize. This is the Garden of Eden. France wants to die because of the resources of Ambazonia. And France is using Paul Biya and the other politicians just like organized criminals. When you hear about the Medellin cartel, Cameroon is just like a cartel. It's run just like a drug cartel. When you hear about Al Pacino, you hear about Pablo Escobar, Paul Biya is exactly like one of those drug lords. He kills people every day, And the world needs to start hearing this. We saw a video of the EU this week. The EU came and made pronouncement the need for a ceasefire. We're going to give you a minute again to look at the EU video.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioner, colleagues. 2 weeks ago, 7-year-old Brandy Tatau was shot and killed by a police officer while walking home from school in Bamenda, a city in northwest Cameroon. Brandy is just one of thousands of young girls who are the utterly innocent victims of the armed conflict in Cameroon over the past 5 years. The forced schools boycott in the Anglophone regions has exposed children to child recruitment by terrorist organizations, forced labor, forced childhood marriage, and sexual abuse. Children make up 28% of all cases of gender-based violence in Cameroon, and 13% of girls are married before the age of 15. Today we mark the International Day of Violence Against Women. The case of Cameroon reminds us that women and young girls continue to be systematically used as pawns in power struggles across the world. Of course, in order to protect women and girls in Cameroon, we need an immediate ceasefire and for both sides to initiate peace talks without further delay. First and foremost, we must protect life. But the only surefire way to ensure that the human rights of women, girls and others are upheld in Cameroon is to have effective legal safeguards. And that is why Renew insisted on strong emphasis on the rule of law in this urgency resolution. To protect human rights, you need functioning courts, robust, proportionate laws, and international recourse. This is the responsibility of the Cameroon government, and it is also the European Union's responsibility as strategic partners of Cameroon to exert the necessary pressure to make this happen.
The EU is saying there needs to be a ceasefire, and we support it. Too many people are dying. So much innocent blood is being shed, it needs to come to an end. And we want this war to come to an end. We're happy we brought attention to this war so that the world community is talking about it now. So it's now time for them to be responsible and handle the perpetrators of this crime. France is squarely behind this crime because the war is fought for the interest of France, for the benefit of France. Okay? But something interesting happened today, which you'll be asking me. We spoke about the use of drones in this war a few months ago, and some people were laughing. There's evidence which came to us today showing a drone, DVI M2, a drone that was used by the French. They sent it to the Ambazonia region in Bui. Then the Bui warriors were valiant enough to pursue this drone, capture it, and now they are speculating on what to do with this drone. We're going to give you a minute to watch the video and see what the Bui guys were saying.
Near life, when I come see we don't hold them. Now it is.
Now with this.
Yes.
Then I general about this now. I general about
we begin.
Life. Yes, I general about this we begin. Yeah, but they don't hold that drone where they work out. Spy we. They come here now. They come here every day. 1 minute don't spy we now.
Yeah, you gave us spy with
and you gave us spy with
today. You never work at spy
yes.
with, no.
You don't follow the drone, so they go catch them.
Real life.
Catch them, you know, do anything, you don't follow them. Go catch them, na catch them.
Don't do life.
Now, general back this. They follow we for come. But we not fear. Because check no day.
Life.
If to say we don't follow their drone, go ulam for one. That means they will hold them 2 for 1.
That's so, Baba.
Yes.
Life.
Now they are batching this. What in day? Yeah.
Una program.
Yeah,
Abakwa live. See the car could do la Republic. Urasiap.
Yes.
Yeah, it ever spy we must spy with today.
Gracias, Daidis. Batteries. Yes.
Thank you very much for watching the video showing the drone. What are the guys going to do? So many of you were giving us advice on what to tell the fighters on the ground to do concerning this drone. Some of you were saying that they should just destroy it because the drone may be able to have Find My Drone technology embedded in it, and they may track the freedom fighters and kill them. Some of you said the freedom fighters should just put this drone in a house so that when the French soldiers come there to capture the drone, they will be blown up by explosives. So you gave us different ideas. So you guys have come up with a lot of suggestions. Some of you were saying that the drone should be outfitted. The guys should learn how to use controllers to power this drone and use it. So you guys came up with a whole lot of ideas, and I really appreciate your creativity. This is the only way Africa will get out of its slavery. If you start sharing ideas on what to do, if you start thinking how to help yourself, how to achieve self-determination, definitely this would be something good, okay? So from the drone in Ambazonia, we want to also take you to Ekondo Titi. So much has been written and said about Ekondo Titi last week. It continues this week. The world condemned this attack. A few months ago, there was an attack in a school in Kumba, okay? Now there's another attack in Ekondo Titi, a town that is not very far from Kumba. The people who committed this crime, killing a teacher and students, people were saying they are Amba fighters, but we've done our investigation, and the truth is the Biya Rogue regime sent its soldiers to go and commit this murder so that they can deceive the international community and say that the murders were committed by Amba fighters. Who are they fooling? Well, they're not going to fool a whole lot of people because so many people already know the truth. We are just emphasizing what you guys have already discovered and you've shared with us. The Ambazonia did not really commit this crime. The rogue regime of Paul Biya sent these people to go there and commit a crime. Okay, so we've explained to you what actually happened with the Ekondo Titi school massacre. To emphasize, the rogue regime of Paul Biya sent soldiers in plain clothes to go and kill those students and the teacher. They make it look as if they were killed by the Amba Restoration Forces. That's a big lie. We did our investigation. We discovered the truth. Now you know that. So we don't want to focus on this. All of this is done because they want France to benefit. The same trouble is happening in other French former colonies. So it's not only La République du Cameroun. Look at Central African Republic. There's trouble there. The CEMAC is not really developing the Central African Republic. Look at Chad. There's trouble there. CEMAC is not really developing this Chad. Look at Congo-Brazzaville. There's trouble there. Is CEMAC helping to develop the country? No. So all these countries really show you that France is just doing things to help themselves, to help their own economy. They don't want to help the African economy. So sometimes Africans are just naive when they think that France is there to help them. France will never help them. France is there to serve the interests of France. So it's very important for us to understand this and decide now that we need to change, we need to kick France out, and that's why there's a whole lot of anti-French feeling. You see what is happening in Burkina Faso, anti-French feeling. The people now are wising up. They know that France is not a good country. France is very bad. France is a parasitic country. France is just there to grab, steal from the Africans, rape, pillage all the African resources, take them to France, and develop the French economy. But what about Africa? France wants Africans to stay underdeveloped. So this is really what the game is all about. So CEMAC is not there for Africa, it's there for France. So you ask me, what's the solution? The solution is not the ECHO. And I'm even happy the movement to create the ECHO failed. The ECHO is not a good solution. The solution is to have a single currency in Africa. One guy called Larry Ojong proposed the idea of a currency called the Afro. And I support an idea like that. When we have a single currency, we'll be able to do business using that single currency, just like what is happening now in the EU. Africa needs to have a single currency. It doesn't need to be a currency backed by France. You look at what happened when France decided to devalue the CFA. It made African goods cheaper. France bought a lot of them, and Africans received less money for their goods. Who benefited? France benefited. Who is foolish? The Africans are the foolish ones. So devaluation cannot happen if Africans were controlling their currency. Devaluation may sound like a big economic term. No, it simply means that you lower the value of a currency, you make the goods of that country inexpensive. Yes, we've complained about France, but you have to understand that France is not the only country that is enslaving Africa financially using the CFA. Even though China is not a colonial power, but today China is emerging as a colonial master in Africa. Look at what happened in Uganda. The international airport of Entebbe is being overtaken by China because of debt. Similarly, Nigeria is having another problem. People are already warning that Nigeria may become a victim of Chinese debt. For a big country like Nigeria, which has its own currency, why does Nigeria continue borrowing so much from China? This is something Nigerians need to think about. Nigerian youth, we are calling on you to pay attention to this problem. Why is your country borrowing so much under the Buhari regime from China? Think about it. This needs to end. We'd like to end the show of today by thanking you. Take action. Don't just be passive. Don't let your country become a slave to China or to France. Do something about it. If you want to do something about it, call us. We'll help you with more ideas. Thank you very much. Subscribe to this show. Bye-bye.
Medical practice software is too old. Indeed, all the programs are built on MUMPS, technology of the 1950s, and the programs cost too much money. Epic and Cerner cost billions of dollars. Meditech costs thousands of dollars too. In fact, that's why we created AlexiaHTC.com, a new and free EMR/EHR for doctors. AlexiaHTC.com is built for HIPAA. Yes, magical one-screen technology, ease of use, quick charting, amazing e-prescribing, tight labs integration, multi-office difference, because we believe doctors and patients need a break today. Be the first to test drive AlexiaHTC.com. You have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. Act now. Call 240-350-1131. Alexia Care Corporation at AlexiaHTC.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.